Just want to call on Ari Abramowitz to share some Torah with us. The book of Proverbs has it. He's a tree of life, and we want to spread it out and maybe take this Torah and make it into our prayer. And so thank God we have Ari on the job to inject us with some Torah from Judea.
Shalom, my friends. Welcome to our second fellowship meeting. This is indeed very exciting to see the divine favor Hashem has showered upon this mission and to be a part of it. Well, it's a great honor. Now, the Jewish people around the world for thousands of years have been gleaning strength and guidance and insight from the Torah portion of the week, which we believe is a blueprint of sorts for our personal, our national lives. And so I'd like to share with you from this week's Torah portion of Ba'alotcha. Now, one of the great themes of this week's Torah portion is the power of speech and the power of prayer. So the Parsha starts with a series of events which proves to be among the lowest points in our history. And it starts with complaining. The portion begins by saying, V'yihi ha'am kemit onenim ra be'oznei Hashem. And the nation complained in the ears of Hashem. Hashem heard and became angry. A fire burned amongst them and consumed the perimeters of the camp. Now, the great rabbi known as the Chatam Sofer says that their sin was be'oznei Hashem, in the ears of Hashem. It's about Hashem hearing. That deep in their hearts, the nation didn't really believe that Hashem hears them. They didn't believe that Hashem actually listens to their prayers. He explains that the nation was lacking in emunah, lacking faith that Hashem can actually hear their words. Perhaps they believe that Hashem sees everything, and even that Hashem runs the world. But at that time, they were lacking the faith that Hashem actually hears them, hears their discussions with each other, hears their complaints, or that He even hears their prayers. So Rav Yaakov Nagen of Yeshivat Otniel, he shares a beautiful perspective on the inner motivation of these complaints and why complaining is so destructive and toxic. He even explains that at the beginning, the Torah doesn't even explain what the complaining was about, but it was the complaining itself that infuriated Hashem. The fact that what they were complaining about wasn't even mentioned exposes the truth that the complaints were a pretext, and that most always when people complain, even if they received the desire of their hearts about which they were complaining, it wouldn't really make them happy or satisfy them, because the complaint itself is coming from a fundamentally negative outlook on life. They view life through a negative prism, which colors their entire view of reality and blinds them to the wonderful opportunities for growth, love, and joy which surrounds them, because their entire point of view is consumed with what they feel is lacking. So they spend their lives whining in misery. So here's where the Torah gets into detail about the complaint. Bamidbar, Numbers 11, verses 4 through 6. And the mixed multitude that was among them, there fell a lusting, and the children of Israel wept on their part, and said, if only we were given meat to eat. We remember the fish that we ate in Egypt for free, the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, the garlic. But now our soul is dried away. There's nothing at all. We have nothing other than this manna to look at. It's painful to read these words, let alone to recite them. It sounds crazy. They were waxing nostalgic for the slavery in Egypt when their sons were genocidally murdered and they were enslaved with backbreaking labor. They had the audacity to yearn for that. Are they crazy? And to say that the food was free. They received food for free the way a farm animal receives food for free, because they were property. And to get the most work out of them, the Egyptians needed to feed them. So they have the strength to work. Their perspectives were all off. It happens to all of us. They looked at their dark past as good, and they viewed their present lives with all of their heavenly blessings as negative. God is leading them with the formation of clouds by day and a pillar of fire by night. They're eating divine manna falling from the sky, with God Himself preparing it. And about this unbelievable reality, they're complaining. The problem here isn't the complaints, it's the warped and distorted worldview of the people which put the negativity front and center, no matter how beautiful things truly are. King David eloquently articulates this in Psalm 34. He says it in a verse, but I want to sing it even though my voice is terrible. He says, Mi ha'ish hachofetz chaim Ohev yamim lirotov. Who is the man who cleaves to life? He who loves his days and sees good within them. So while we should not judge this generation of the Exodus negatively, we can definitely learn from them. For they took us as far as they could, but a new generation needed to be born that could walk upright, with eyes of positivity and faith into the promised land. A generation that was able to perceive and internalize God's love for us, to experience the world through a prism of love and abundance, rather than through a lens of fear and scarcity. So I want to bless all of us in these monumental and prophetic times that we should remember every moment that God hears our words and listens to our prayers, that he yearns for our prayers, that perhaps one of the reasons that he created the world was to hear the sweet yearnings of our tefillot, of our prayers of our hearts. And I bless us that we should never fall into the trap of complaining, but that we have the faith and the strength to replace every complaint with an expression of gratitude. My Rebbe said that when God hears our complaints, he says, "You think that's bad? I'll show you bad." And when he hears our gratitude, he says, "You think that's good? I'll show you good." I bless us that even in the truly difficult and painful times, we remember that although we may not understand why everything happens, everything is from God. And finally, I bless us that we should be the generation that merits not only entering the Holy Land physically and geographically, but emotionally and spiritually as well. So Jeremy, my friend, back to you. May you go from strength to strength and continue to be granted the strength to spearhead this holy mission. Shalom.
Thank you, Ari. That was really absolutely beautiful.